So, there's a lot of hubbub lately about the issue of whether trans people should disclose that they are trans to someone whom they are dating. The essential arguments involved here are pretty interesting. There are those who say that demanding trans people to come out to potential partners is transphobic. Now, here's an excerpt of that position from a widely shared article on the subject by Tiffany Baruti.
Not being attracted to trans people is deeply transphobic. The entire notion that someone isn't attracted to a group of very physically diverse people because they are trans is built on fear and disgust of trans people. None of this means it is transphobic to not be attracted to individual trans people, nor is it transphobic to not be attracted to specific genitals, but it is transphobic to claim to not be attracted to all trans people. For example, there is a difference between saying you won't go out with someone for having a penis and saying you won't go out with someone because they're trans. So, when a cis person argues that a trans person has an obligation to come out to someone before dating them, they are saying trans people have an obligation to accommodate their transphobia. Plus, claiming that trans people are obligated to come out reinforces the idea that not being attracted to trans people is reasonable. But as I've pointed out, not being attracted to trans people supports the idea that transness is disgusting, which is the basis for transphobic oppression.
Okay, well, I admire that this person didn't go full SJW and dispense with all nuance. They aren't saying you have to be attracted to every trans person. They aren't saying you have to be attracted to a penis if penises aren't what you like. What they are saying is that it's transphobic to dismiss someone as a potential partner solely because they're trans. I do have a few refutations of this line of thinking. First of all, you cannot conflate not being attracted to something with hating that something. I'm not attracted to women with small butts. I don't hate them. That's just not what I find attractive. Okay, but that's a physical trait, and I suppose we should confine ourselves purely to non-physical traits here. So I'm not attracted to people who are, overly happy and bubbly, hey, everything's great, yeah, It's not that I hate them, though I honestly can get annoyed by them, they get on my nerves, whatever. But it's just that I don't think we'd be good as a couple. I don't think we'd be good together. I need someone who shares my outlook a little more than that, because if I'm dating someone, we have to function as a fucking team. Now, trans men, though some of them look very convincingly like biological males, do not ever have penises. There simply isn't a surgery that gives them that yet. So they're a bit more painted into a corner by their physical differences. They have a vagina to explain before they can have sex with anybody. But trans women can be absolutely convincing. Many of them do still have penises, but many of them have extremely convincing vaginas that are a pretty good approximation of the vaginas created by nature. So this really applies more to them. In fact, exclusively to them. So let's think of some non-transphobic reasons why a man wouldn't want to sleep with a trans woman. Well, for one thing, he might want to have children. As convincing as that vagina might look and feel, it's not actually connected to a female reproductive system. There are no ovaries, there is no egg to fertilize. So any man who wants to have children would not want a trans woman for his sexual partner. He simply wouldn't. And it's perfectly possible, by the way, that a guy could have no issue with trans people and their rights, but still be personally turned off by the thought of having a transsexual partner. Human sexuality can be quite finicky. You might be turned off by her taste in movies, or her weird feet, or her annoying friends, or any number of things. These preferences don't reveal a deep-seated bigotry. They just reveal your personal preferences. I think it's very simple-minded to say that the only reason people might object to a trans partner is because of bigotry. But let's answer the broader question. Is it incumbent upon trans people to reveal their status to their sexual partners? I've heard some in the anti-SJW community say that if they don't, then consent is not informed and therefore it's rape for a trans person to not reveal their trans status. To me, this is just another sad case of anti-SJWs parroting SJW talking points. No consent is ever 100% informed. If you sleep with someone and then later find out that they're a total fucking piece of shit, they didn't rape you. You might regret fucking them. You might have buyer's remorse. But buyer's remorse does not equal rape. So my answer to whether or not trans people should come out as trans before having sex with someone is a bit more nuanced of a position than I've heard being tossed around by others on whatever sides exist these days. I think that it's contingent upon whether you date people or whether you just hook up with people. If you're just out there to fuck and you don't care about forming relationships and you're likely to fuck someone the same night you meet them at the club or some shit, then I'm sorry, but you're taking that risk. When you live that lifestyle, you're assuming the risk that the person you're fucking might not they could be something you fucking despise. Okay? Maybe they're a fucking lunatic that's gonna fucking stalk you. Maybe they hold beliefs that are totally in opposition to your core values. Totally antithetical. Maybe they have STDs. Or maybe her name is Michelle now, but she was born Michael. When you just hook up, when you meet someone and the first thing you want to do is just stick your dick in them, you're basically forfeiting your right to know any of that. You want the thrill of a one-night stand? Well, part of that thrill is that you really don't have any idea who you're in bed with. So if we're talking about a hookup, I don't think a trans girl needs to tell you her personal life before you lay the pipe. Not unless you ask directly, which is pretty much a recipe for not getting laid. So you're not a tranny, are you? Most girls aren't going to sleep with you after you say that, sorry to say. However, if you're the kind of person who takes a more traditional approach of actually getting to know a person before you fuck them, then yes, it is incumbent upon the trans girl to tell you that she's trans beforehand. The whole point of dating is, let's see if we're compatible before we take it to the next level. And one of the things you expect from a person in that situation is honesty. And that doesn't mean no one is allowed any secrets, but that does mean that something of vital importance, like the fact that she was born with a dick that was bigger than yours, that should be brought up at some point, probably fairly early on. So that's my opinion. If you're having casual sex, you're tacitly accepting that you don't really know who you're fucking. If you're dating and going through that vetting process with potential partners, then trans status absolutely should be divulged before any sexual activity. I think that's absolutely fair, but I'm curious as to what you guys think, so let me know in the comments below. And if you like my shit, support me on Patreon, and please give this video a thumbs up. I know a lot of you won't, because I've just pissed off people on both sides with my nuanced bullshit, but that's just me. I'm TJ Kirk. Peace the fuck out.